Run to Old Navy this Friday to get sweaters for just $10 for adults, $8 for kids and baby. Better hurry, this incredible sweater deal is just one day only, this Friday at Old Navy. Valid 11/11, select styles, and in stores only.
Why y'all so happy?
You don't know? Sharvette Mitchell is on the radio.
It's time to get motivated, excited, and influenced. Why? It's the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show, live from Richmond, Virginia. And now, here to motivate, excite, and influence you, Sharvette Mitchell.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show, broadcasting from the capital city of Richmond, Virginia, but heard all across the world wide web. We are so excited to have you guys joining us again for another phenomenal show. Big shout out to all those that are listening in from Facebook. We love you guys. Those that are coming in from Twitter, hello. Those listening in from Instagram, of course, Sharvette.com, and our mobile app users, and then certainly all of our broadcast stations. We appreciate you, as always, for checking us out here on the show. Listen, go ahead and tell somebody to tune in. Tell them what you're listening to. Jump online. Share the link with them. Follow me. Follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/Sharvette. Let's connect on Twitter, twitter.com/Sharvette. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about our first guest that is hanging out with me in the virtual green room, in the virtual studio. I'm telling you what, you are going to be in for an inspirational treat here on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show today. As always, we love to spotlight and feature authors, and I'm really honored to have a board-certified physician, internal medicine, and best-selling author joining us today to talk about a new book that is out. Oh, my goodness, White Coat Secrets, Still Standing, A Doctor's Story by Dr. Vickie Y. Mabry Height. I'm bringing her up to the mic right now. We call her Dr. Vickie, MD. Hello, Dr. Vickie, MD. Welcome to the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show.
Good morning, and thank you for interviewing me today. And also, I want to make a shout-out to Miss LaTanya Boyd for making this possible.
Yes, we shout out LaTanya Boyd, #RockYourBook. Thank you. All right, so let's jump in. Certainly, you have a plethora of things that we can discuss. I'd love to have our listeners learn a little bit more about you. So I love in your bio how it says, your childhood spanned both in the Jim Crow cotton fields of North Carolina into the inner cities of Brooklyn, New York. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing.
Well, I was born in Greenville, North Carolina, to a teenage mother, and I did not know my father, so I was really raised by my great-grandparents. And so that was my beginning, and then in the book, in White Coat Secrets, I talk a little bit about my playground, which was the cotton fields of North Carolina, and of course, I made a decision to enter medicine at probably one of the worst times imaginable for a poor, young black child, because it was part of the Jim Crow era, and for those. No, that was the era where there were white-only signs on water fountains, public bathrooms, theaters. The schools were segregated. So it was a very difficult time for African Americans.
And was there one event or one thing that was a catalyst that said, okay, I want to go into medicine?
The catalyst probably was that because my great-grandparents were elderly, and in those days doctors did what was called house calls, the doctor was frequently in our home. And so I got to talk and have conversations with him, and he really became a mentor and a role model for me. And as I talk about in White Coat Secrets, one day I told him that I thought I wanted to be a doctor. Now, of course, I was very young, probably 4 or 5 years old at that time, but I still remembered him telling me, well, I think you'd be a really great nurse. And when I shared that with my great-grandparents, of course, my great-grandfather said, you can be anything you want to be. you can definitely be a doctor. And so that my great-grandfather's thoughts always stayed with me. And
wow, what legacy.
Encouragement.
Absolutely. What legacy, what legacy. And so being young and having that, kind of that revelation or epiphany, how did you keep that going, throughout growing up? Did it just stay with you that you were like, I'm going to be a doctor?
It always stayed with me. And then when I entered elementary school, I did very well. And my mom used to help me with my homework, and so I valued that one-on-one time and attention from her. And because she helped me, I always did well, and it motivated me to do my homework and, do well in school. And because I was a good student and I studied hard and worked hard, that continued throughout middle school and elementary school and high school and right into college. So it's sort of creating that foundation, but really it's the early foundation, I think, from my great-grandparents and my mom that really created that solid foundation. And then, of course, we lived in the church 7 days a week. Because my great-grandmother was one of the mothers of the church. And so you also get encouragement from the church members, too. They tell you, oh, this is going to be our future doctor, that kind of thing. And so you hear those things, and those things resonate with you. And you hear those voices as you go through obstacles or, as you continue through your career. But it creates that solid foundation that really cannot be shaken. And that's what we got to have more of in our kids at an earlier age, because they're going to encounter obstacles, like I mentioned in White Coat Secrets. And sometimes we're not prepared for those things when they happen. But having that rock-solid foundation, those ancestral spirits, those voices from relatives and loved ones, that's what creates that motivation for you and gives you that will and enables you to continue.
Wow. Words of wisdom, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting right here on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Dr. Vickie, M.D., yes. Listen, you want to pick up a copy of White Coat Secrets, Still Standing, A Doctor's Story. So let's move on. And so you go into medical school, successful, and you get into the medical field, and certainly you are facing many things as, number one, African American, as a female, a lot of different things which you do kind of share some of those untold stories, untold secrets, racism, sexism, health disparity, injustices. Wow. How did you keep it all together?
Well, again, it's I think I call it the ancestral spirit, and that's knowing your history and knowing where we came from and what our ancestors endured. And so when I was having really hard times and encountering some of those things, I always thought about what my ancestors went through, so that it gave me an emotional strength to endure whatever I was encountering, because compared to what they had to endure, whatever I was going through, it was minuscule. And I knew that I would get through it, even though I didn't know how or when. I just knew I just had to pray and persevere, and that I would get through it.
I think that is a great reflective perspective for all of those that are listening in. Pull on that. Do you think racism has lessened, decreased, or changed forms over the years?
I think that it's still alive and well. And I think for anyone that thinks that it doesn't exist, they need to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think we have to really understand what Dr. Kamara Jones explains to us, and she's the president currently of the American Public Health Association, that racism is not an individual character flaw. It's not even a personal moral failing. Racism is a system. It's a system. It's policies. It's practices. It's values. It's decisions that structure opportunity and assign value based on how one looks. And that's what we call race. So it's a system. It's not an individual character flaw. And I don't think enough of us understand the system part of it. And so, yes, it's still here. That legacy, as I talk about in my book, and when I define why COL was placed behind African American physicians' names for years. These are things I discuss in my book. So we don't have the COL there, but we still have that legacy because the system still exists. And I think the recent news media article on the doctor who was told to sit down or something along those lines on a Delta airline when there was an emergency going on with one of the patrons on the plane, and she offered her assistance, and they wanted her to show her credentials, and really ultimately just dismissed her and told her to sit down. So it's still there. Racism is alive and well. But it's going to take all of us, especially our future generations, to dismantle this system. So that's another reason why I wrote my book, because I wanted to expose some of these things that are still going on and create transparency and awareness so that we continue to talk about these things so that we can, again, work towards dismantling this system of racism.
Well said, well said. Dr. Vickie, MD, where can people purchase your book?
White Coat Secrets, still standing. A Doctor's Story is available on Amazon.com. It's also available on BarnesandNoble.com. I have a website where you can purchase the book if you want it personally autographed, and that's Dr. Dr. Vickie, VICKIEMD.com, where you can also purchase it.
Wonderful. So there you have it, listeners, your invitation there to purchase this. And would you say certainly anyone that is looking to go into the medical field, this is perfect for them to pick up and grab and read?
Yes, and I also want it to be a motivator for people who might be in mid-management positions too, because I give some pointers on how I had to become an entrepreneur and some of the things, how you have to start to think differently. And I think I have some pointers in the book just for people who are just going through professional careers in general, because I think we all may encounter some version of some of the things that I encountered, no matter what career we're in, especially if you're a woman, and more so if you're a black woman.
Absolutely. And then also depending on the field you're in, so not only we've talked about the racism, but then there's also sexism. So if you're in a field that's highly dominated by men, then there is that piece. Can you touch a little bit about, the sexism side of things?
Well, that's also very prevalent in medicine, and I think the most vivid story for me is my first job interview with a large company, oil company in Los Angeles. And I think the doctor was surprised when first a woman came in for the interview, and especially a black woman, because I had learned early on you never put your first name on a resume. Because at the time that I was applying in the early 80s, a lot of women were excluded from even being interviewed. if they knew that you were a woman. So I just had my first initial. I guess he thought it was Victor. I don't think he ever Vickie coming in. And again, he, let me know that he had promised not to ever hire an African-American person to work for that company, and that this was what his predecessors made him agree to 20 or 25 years before he had been hired. So again, this is one of the stories that I talk about in the book. So you have to know that sexism is out there so that you know how that you're going to encounter some of these things and then how to respond to it. So for me, I didn't know that I was going to encounter that kind of response. But I had tried to prepare for it, but, it didn't help me in that situation. But that's another reason I'm sharing some of my stories so that people at least don't make the same mistakes that I made. So you may have to tweak that a little bit differently in today's time. So at that time, I already knew those. Don't put my first name on the resume, but that may not be enough today to get an interview.
Yeah, I think that's some good wisdom, though. That's a good wisdom nugget that can be used today. So take that and grab it, listeners, where it applies to you. And then so also health disparities, which may still tie a little bit to, this could probably be in a couple areas. So those that have a lot of money versus those that don't have money, regardless of race. And then those that are one race versus the other race, disparities in health. And certainly throughout this election period, health care and all of that has been one of the topics. What do you see as far as disparities in health?
Well, health disparities is really a difference in access to quality care and health outcomes, where there's a big gap, and it's based really on, again, what you look like and what we call race. So it includes but so really your economics, how much money you make, really isn't a factor for health disparities. In other words, if I go into an emergency room, just being black, and of course if I don't have on my white jacket, I'm not going to get the same care as someone who may not look like me. Mm-hmm. So it has nothing really to do with economics. I consider it the new euphemism for continued racism in medicine, where based on how you look, and especially being a person of color, you're not going to get the same quality of care. Now, research has been done, and the Institute of Medicine has published all of these articles and reviews that they have done to show that this is a factor. And they've created all the evidence back in 2002, I think it was, to show that health disparities exist. But it results in worse outcomes for African Americans in just about every specialty of medicine.
What can we do to change this? What can we do to impact this?
Well, the first step is awareness. You have to know that it exists. And not be fooled by thinking that, okay, maybe I have money, so I'm going to be treated differently. That's not going to happen. So awareness is the first step. And then second, you have to be your own advocate when you are a person of color. And so you have to know and, talk to people, talk to family, talk to friends. Discuss your medical treatment with others. I think that's the second thing that you can do, being your own advocate. And thirdly, I'm hoping that over a period of time, we'll see some significant changes in an increase in the diversity in the healthcare workforce, where there might be more African American physicians And I think that may also help to mitigate some of this.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that and helping to bring awareness and enlighten us around really all of these things, in your new book. And so, how did you have time to? I know you're busy and active. How did you have time to write your book?
Well, I've been writing this book over years. I heard someone interviewed Toni Morrison one time because, she's very busy and she was raising a child and all this and trying to be a professional writer all at the same time. And she said, they asked her, how does she get time to write? And she said, I always write on the fringes of time. So I remembered that. So that's when I started to do that. So if I went to bed and I woke up at midnight, just as an example, and I might stay up for an hour or 2 hours, and I would just get on the computer and start writing on my book. And sometimes if I wake up early in the morning, or you have an hour here or there, maybe after dinner you might spend an hour just writing on your book. So it's just here and there, wherever you can put in that time where you can sit and work sort of uninterrupted. So it's just writing on the fringes of time.
On the fringes of time. That's good. That's good right there. All right. Do you see yourself writing any other books?
Well, I want to continue this as a series because it's very hard to tell your whole life story in 192 pages, as I tried to do in White Coat Secrets. So this is really just sort of the tip of the iceberg here and there, little stories. But I want to write more, but I want it to be generated more by the response and the questions that I might get from readers who might want to know more about A or more about B or how did you do this, so that I incorporate that into the next volume that I write, the answers to those kinds of questions.
All right, awesome. So stay tuned, listeners, and people are talking about the book. One reader said, I thoroughly enjoyed reading the book. I did it in one sitting. It brought back memories, some good and some bad, since I am also a medical doctor. And so this book should be read by all aspiring doctors so they know what to expect. It inspires and teaches you about perseverance. So there you go. There you have it, listeners. Well, I'm telling you what, I'm glad that we just had an opportunity to grab some time with you to chat about your book, White Coat Secrets, Still Standing, A Doctor's Story. Pick it up, listeners. My last question for you, the goal of my show is to motivate, excite, and influence, and we want to know what continues to motivate you.
Well, think about that one. I think motivation for me is something internal. It's very deep inside, and I think it's still my great-grandparents and always wanting to be the good person that they wanted me to be. So I try to always think of that, and I think that's why I lean so much towards senior citizens. And being in the field of internal medicine, I love seniors. And it's like giving back whenever I take care of my patients. So it's just that wanting to just always be available and be able to help, especially seniors. I think that's a strong motivator for me.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. And one last time, let listeners know how they can pick up a copy of your book and connect with you online.
Okay. Well, you can purchase the book at Amazon.com, also BarnesandNoble.com, my website, Dr. Vickie, VICKIE.MD.com. You can follow me on Facebook at Dr. DOCTOR Vickie, VICKIEMD.com, and also Twitter, drVickieMD.com. I would like to also say I'm available for speaking engagements, and you can contact Ms. LaTanya Boyd at faithinorder@yahoo.com, and her telephone number is 917-268-2987 for any speaking engagements. And thank you again, Ms. Mitchell, so much for having me on the Sharvette Mitchell radio show.
Oh, it was my complete honor, Thank you so much for representing us so well in the field of medical field, and just overall. Thank you so much. All right, listeners, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and then after that break, you don't want to move. We're going to be back with Yolanda Gray. She is joining us, a life coach. You don't want to miss it. Listen, I told you all day long today, we would have phenomenal guests. So again, Yolanda Gray is joining us right after this quick commercial break. Don't you move.
It's the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Sharvette will be back after this.
Pursue your purpose and choose to live. Be liberated, improve, vivacious, and enlightened. Embracing your inner woman aims to empower, inspire, and encourage you to make your declaration now. Visit LadyAnikaStewart.com. We offer counseling such as mental health, substance abuse, faith-based, and business consultations. This is where dreams become reality. Visit LadyAnikaStewart.com.
Introducing contemporary gospel artist Diani with the new hit debut single titled The Blood on Remare Records.
Though they slay me, crucify me, I have been washed in the blood I'm reading.
Purchase Diani's new hit single on iTunes, Amazon in February. Once again, be sure to check out contemporary gospel artist Diani with the new hit debut single titled The Blood on Remare Records. Follow Diani on Twitter, Facebook by going online to DianiMusic.com. That's spelled DeoniMusic.com. That's DianiMusic.com.
Spiritual Food for Thought. 31 inspirational quotes to jumpstart your day by LaTanya Boyd consists of inspirational messages that offer daily words of empowerment, promote spiritual growth and development in the Lord Jesus Christ for your day-to-day living. Spiritual Food for Thought. 31 inspirational quotes to jumpstart your day. Available now on Kindle, ebook, and paperback. Log on to www.latboyd.com.
Does your church or ministry have a website? Are you a local artist or author that has an established web presence? If you answered no to any of these questions, you're letting countless opportunities pass you by. Hi, I'm Sharvette Mitchell. Mitchell Productions was created with your needs in mind. We will provide you with stylish and economical online marketing solutions. From email marketing to your own website, Mitchell Productions caters to ministries, nonprofits, small businesses, and special events. Check out our portfolio at mitchell-productions.com. In today's world, a website is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And Mitchell Productions can create your website in a stylish manner at a very economical price. Don't let business, customers, or new congregation members pass you by. Visit Mitchell Productions today at www.mitchell-productions.com. Let us showcase your organization to the world.
She's here to motivate, excite, and influence you. She's Sharvette Mitchell. Sharvette Mitchell. It's the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show with in-depth interviews from today's leading authors, gospel artists, stars that you want to know about. And now, Sharvette Mitchell.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back again to everyone that is hanging out with us here on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. A wonderful first segment there. And listen, we are excited and getting ready to move into our next segment. But, of course, I definitely have to give a shout-out to my upcoming workshop that I am having here in the capital city of Richmond, Virginia. It is called #Coaching with Vet. That's me. Pop-up workshop. Yep. It's going to be taking place Saturday, December 10th, right here in Richmond, Virginia, at the Hyatt House Hotel at Short Pump Town Center. Grab your seat, reserve your seat. It's only $75, and it is from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. That includes a hot buffet breakfast. And listen, this room is going to be charged and filled with female entrepreneurs that want to accelerate the exposure of their business, and I want you to be there. You do not want to miss it. OMG, we're going to be talking about live streaming and building your platform and how a book increases your exposure and, oh my goodness, DIY graphics for female entrepreneurs and giving you clarity and focus and all of that. And I have pulled together panelists and speakers that are going to share their experiences, give you nuggets and wisdom. So I'm really excited, and I personally invite you to join us for #Coaching with Vet pop-up workshop Saturday, December 10th. We are a little over 30 days away, a month away, OMG. And so go to heygirlhey.biz. Just go to heygirlhey.biz and get all the information there that you need and register. And if you're hanging out at Sharvette.com, listen, the link is right there. If you are on Facebook there, you should see several posts, and also on Twitter. So let's move right on in to my next segment here. I'm really excited. My guest is hanging out in the virtual green room, so I know she's enjoying some virtual snacks. We are so excited to have certified life coach Yolanda Gray joining us. OMG, she believes that a changed perspective plus changed behaviors equals a changed life. How many can agree with that? Yes. She holds a bachelor's degree in human development and a master's of arts in family services counseling. Again, a certified holistic life coach with over 18 years of human behavior training. And I'm telling you what, she's here just to empower us, and she focuses on women. And so listen, you know, that's right up my alley. So I'm running to the virtual green room right now to bring Yolanda Gray up on the air. Yep, Yolanda, you're live on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Sharvette. Good evening, everybody, and it's really good to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you. All right, so let's jump in, and you know, I think it's so great that we're getting ready to talk. You know, before we go fully into the holiday season, you know, it is upon us. We've gotten over Halloween, and so there are a lot of women that are just this time of year. You know, it's just almost not for us, it's for everybody else, you know, all of that. And I love on your website where kind of you pose some questions, and one of the questions that you pose is, you know, are you invested in other people's dreams and desires to the exclusion of your own? So talk a little bit about that, and in particular how that impacts women and kind of in this season too.
Oh, especially this season, because it's since school started back in September, you know, we're getting ready to get our children off to school, and sports are starting, and it just goes from September all the way through, and it's just really wild. But and as women anyway, we normally tend to put everything and everyone else first. And sometimes, you know, we're wondering, when is it going to be time for me? Or is this all there is? Is this all I'm going to be doing forever? A lot of times the women I work with are struggling with depression because of their overscheduled, overcommitted life. And then they don't tell anybody. So they end up trying to do it alone because, you know, who else is going to do it? So they tend not to ask for help. And I call that overwhelm. You know, that's what we get into. We get into overwhelm. And when you're in overwhelm, you aren't in a place of whole health in your body, mind, and your spirit. And I like to also say that if you don't feel well, you can't do well.
Yeah, that's good. If you don't feel well, you can't do well. And listen, if you quote that, Y'all better make sure you tag or tweet Yolanda on that one. That's good. And so for those that are listening, kind of saying, you know what, I'm feeling myself slipping into the overwhelm. I'm feeling that I'm going to that space. Are there any tips you could offer them, any guidance you could offer them?
Well, yes. I think the first thing is that you really have to stop. As women, we just have to stop. If you don't, come to a place where you just stop and reevaluate, what you're doing out there, and is life controlling you, or are you controlling life? If you don't do that, your body will begin to tell you. You'll start to get really tired, fatigued, and then it also can lead to other diseases in your body. We tend to have these habits that we've been in for so long, but what happens with our habits is then they become our lifestyle, and it's really what I call mountains. Yeah, it's really what I call mountains. In the Bible where it says, say to the mountain, move, and the mountain moves. That's your mind. That's a mindset. It's you're not going to go up there and physically push that mountain, but you can move. You can change your mind, and that's why I talk about perceptions, because it's the way that we look at things that keep us stuck.
Ooh, it's all about the perception, and we always hear that famous quote, perception is reality.
Yes, our
do
reality.
You agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's our reality. I like what Anais Nin says. We see things. We don't see things as they are. We see them as we are. So in my work, I help women I work with them to help them to see how the way they've been looking at things that leads to the behavior that's leading to this lifestyle of overwhelm, how they can turn that around and begin to take care of themselves, because that's what happens. We sabotage ourselves when our dreams and our goals and just being able to take care of other people. If we're not well, we can't do that well. So just by helping them to see that in that way, to take more responsibility for themselves in their self-care, they begin to lead a more productive life, a happier life.
Wow, and you do a lot with purpose and passion and all of that, and does that really tie in as well?
Yes. What happens is, when you're in overwhelm, or when you just feel like you can't, like this is all that your life is ever going to be, you usually are in a mode of you've given up, just given up and given in, and I call that automatic mode. You're just doing things automatically, and for a lot of women, you're in a state of depression, and so when you come to a place where you can, you get to get some help, and I want to say that too. Whether it's a life coach, sometimes it needs to be a mental health practitioner. You can begin to come out of what I call the fog, the sabotage. That's what we do. We just sabotage ourselves and our lives.
And how would someone know? Because sometimes we are, like you said, in a fog, and we don't even see the sabotage. Like, what would be an example of something that's really a sabotage?
Well, one of the things you do is you will begin to lose. You just begin to lose a zest for life at all. You can sort of start to see yourself going down. A lot of times, you're all the way down before you can get up, and that's okay. Whatever it's going to take. We all have people around us who will begin. The people closest to us will tell us, and they'll ask us. Well, why? What's the matter? Or you're not sleeping. That's a big one. You aren't sleeping, or other people begin to notice, or you're irritable. You're not dealing with life. Ultimately, you don't want to get out of bed. I liken it to the story, if I can share this, of Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. Do you remember that? Well,
yes.
Remember every day he got up. Every day he woke up, and it was the same thing and the same thing and the same thing over. And he could not. He was chasing everything, hedonistically. He was chasing everything that was going to that he thought was going to make him feel good. Do you remember that? Women, drinking. Yeah. At the end of all of that, when he came to the end of trying to take care of himself, and for women, we do other things. We drink, we pop pills. I'm not saying everybody. I'm just saying that this is
right.
This is what happens at the end. So what happened with him was he was trying to figure out how he could kill himself, but then he couldn't because his life was that loop. And so that's how I liken it. That was my life. And I have such passion because that happened to me. And so I know that God's given us all a thing to do. He has gifted us. We don't know what it is if we're in this place of Groundhog Day or if we're in this place of overwhelm. We can't get to it.
That's good. That's good. We can't get to it, yeah.
Yeah, you can't. You can't get to it. And that's what happened to me. And at the point that I reached out and asked for some help and began to allow someone to speak into my life, and it was ministers, it was women in the church, it was therapists, it was my mentors, it was my friends, like Job. Like Job, they come around, the real friends. The real friends, I'm talking about the real friends. That come around and start to you start to heal. And when you heal, what you begin to feel is, wow, I can really do this. And I'm worth it. You just start building this confidence by taking these small steps because it really adds up to a healed life that's worth living. And you can finally say to that mountain, move out of my way.
Well, are you ready to take back your life, listeners? Yes, with Yolanda Gray. Yes, I'm reading that right off your website, and that sounds like, are you ready to take back your life?
Yes.
And so holistic life coach, and there are a lot of different types of coaches that are out there. Can you kind of share a little bit? Is there a certain difference between your life coaching versus others, or any distinction there related to the holistic piece?
Yes. So I know what you do, and I know what a business coach does, and I know what a social media coach does. We all have these specialties, and I don't know how to teach somebody how to start up a business. I had to have a coach to help me start up a business. But as I said before, when you're in a place of not feeling well, you can't do well. I had to come to a place of healing before I decided I was going to let go of my job and become a life coach, because I finally could hear God. I could finally hear him say, yes, move, build. But while I was in that mess, I couldn't hear him. Does that make sense?
Wow, it's hard to hear. Yes, that makes sense. It's like I'm processing, because what you're saying is so really powerful, because a lot of times you get into the space and you're like, you can't hear. It's not you don't want to. It's just all of the stuff and everything going on. It's like I can't even hear. I can't even see, the way to go. And so you are a living testament, which is awesome. So you can just not only say to someone that comes and has a session one-on-one with you or brings you in for a workshop, it's not textbook, it's not theory, it's I have been through this process, and so that's what's really powerful. And so for some of the places that you go to do workshops and things, what are certain topics, examples of topics that you cover for like workshops or retreats?
Well, in December, I always do the creating a vision journal. And I like the reason I like doing vision journals is because they're portable. You have a journal that has your imprint on it, your vision on it, and you can carry it around with you like you carry a notebook around with you. So I do those in December. That's sort of the signature talk, because I talk a lot about you have to have a vision before you can get the vision out, right? You have to get it out.
Yeah.
but you have to see it. So I do a little teaching on that. In January, I do Getting Right Size, a spiritual journey. It's not about how to lose weight. It's about how to make those mountains move so you can create discipline in your life, and then you can create that space of I am worth it and God's calling me to perfect health. I do that in January.
That's to create discipline in your life. Yeah.
Yeah. But you see, when you don't feel good, you don't want to be disciplined. You're looking for comfort. So it's a mindset. It's that perception again, changing that mindset. So I do that workshop. I do a workshop on abundance. That abundance isn't about money. Prosperity is not about money. That's a whole. Everything has to do with the physical, the spiritual, and the mental. It all revolves. If you can't get that in harmony, then whatever you put your hand to, you're not doing it from a place of clear thinking or clear spirit. So it's difficult to get past barriers that are going to come up.
Absolutely, and so anticipate the barriers. Anticipate that you will have some barriers, but you can get over them, and you can get up over whatever it is. Okay, and so it's great that you have something. You have the Vision Journal. That's December. You have January, because these are times that everyone is just a little bit more reflective. Not that we aren't in June or July, but it seems like the end of the year, December, January, February, people are like, okay, and whether you call it resolutions or not, and some people knock resolutions. I'm like, hey, and people want to pause and feel like, okay, I want to be reflective, and I want to do better, and I feel like I have a clean slate. I think, hey, we should take advantage of that. So how can people connect with you on those things that they're interested in? They're saying, oh, I really like that. That Vision Journal, or I want to be connected with the January activities. How do they do that?
Yes, I would love for them to just go to my website, www.yolandagray.com. I'm on Facebook, Yolanda Gray. I'm at Yolanda@yolandagray.com. You can email me. I'm planning 2 retreats, one in the spring and one in the fall, which is just that's what I love to do. That I've been doing one for 6 years, and the workshops are powerful. But more than that, I'd like to call it we turn off and we tune in. We are not silent. It's not a silent retreat. Don't worry. We laugh. We have a great time. We eat great food, but we are just very conscious that we are still, that we can finally just, tune into ourselves, tune into the women, that there's such energy when women get together, that. And it's so powerful. And so I do a retreat. I've been doing one for 6 years out in the mountains. And then I'm going to do another small one in April, which will just be an all-day retreat, or that you can come and get physically refreshed.
Oh, that sounds awesome. And in the mountains, I always, the mountains just in and of themselves, it's amazing. Anytime I drive through the mountains, I'm just in awe. I'm like, okay, pay attention to the road, but the mountains just in and of themselves are it's just in awe. And puts you in perspective as well. And so there's another point you have just around, if women, and this could be people in general, if they feel, if they're lacking confidence in their life, do you think that confidence is really a big part of what maybe a lot of people are having issues with?
Confidence comes from, having that self-worth. I think you can't, you have. And the other thing I love about confidence, I love the way Joyce Meyer says it. She said confidence is like a car sitting in the driveway. You have to turn it on and put it in drive. And sometimes you got to take the action. Doesn't that make sense? Because every time you do something, every time you get up and speak, every time you tell you say no to somebody you've been saying yes to for way too long, or anytime you say no, I'm not going to take that abuse anymore. Every time you say that, it increases your confidence. And every time you say, God gave this to me to do, He brought me to it, and I'm going to walk it out. Every time you do that, take those steps, that increases your confidence like nothing else can.
Yes, and so many people think that confidence is like interwoven in all parts of your life. And then I always say, if you look at someone and say she's so confident, oftentimes there are pockets in our lives or air fringes in our lives where we are not confident, but they do such a good job of showcasing their areas and their strengths of where they are confident. It just looks like they're just a completely confident person. But so that'll help maybe some of you that's listening saying, gosh, I have no confidence at all. Listen, you got some confidence somewhere. You just got to put the key in the car and turn it on and drive.
Well, I'm going to tell you something else. But at the point that you reach out for help, if somebody calls you, if somebody like me has been struggling with a WordPress website, I'm going to say, no, I don't have any confidence in myself to do that. I'm calling Sharvette.
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm going to stay on my lane.
But I think that's okay. Then I
that's
think
absolutely
that is, like, we don't have to be confident in every single area of your life. I think that's where people are. This confidence thing is like, I'm confident over here, but I'm not confident here. And it is your lane. Where is your lane? And go from there. All right, good. So yes, I like to stay in my lane as well.
I have another friend who says, that confidence is just saying, I can figure it out. And that's all that is. And I love that because that's so true. We didn't get to where we are right now because it just came to us. We had to put the key in and put the car and drive and just go and, run out of gas a couple times and do all, whatever it took. But
I'll figure it out. I will figure it out.
Yeah. And I just want to share one more thing because I think this is really important. That it is my experience, and I truly believe this, that any time we make a decision to change, God's grace moves in to guide us, to protect us, and to help us on our journey. The definition of grace, the theological definition, is a gratuitous favor from God or a divinely granted blessing. This means that grace is a gift. And at the point that because it takes confidence and courage to take one step out, that grace comes in to you. It comes in you, and it becomes what I call the superpower. It gives you the power.
Yeah.
You're no longer rationalizing your behavior. You're not denying it. You're not feeling guilty. Instead, you're finally motivated to take care of yourself. Because when you take care of yourself, you'll be able to help others and do good out there in the world. And isn't that what God called us to?
Absolutely. And I'm so in alignment with that grace piece. And there's an additional definition of grace that it's God's divine assistance. God's divine assistance. So that's another way, listeners, you can think of it too. It's all saying the same thing, but just in a different type of way.
Exactly.
Wonderful. And we've got some shout outs from Facebook. Author LaTanya Boyd. She says, listen in. Hey, girl, hey. Thank you for those that are from the community. She says, as women, we just have to stop and reevaluate life sometimes. We just have to stop.
Sometimes what happens is that we hit the ground, like Groundhog Day. You hit the floor and you have to look up, and then that forces you to reevaluate life.
Right,
that's what it takes for me. And it's okay.
Yeah, and then whatever it takes, because sometimes we don't hear the whisper. Sometimes we don't feel the nudge. So then it has to be this big shebang, and we're like, okay, God, I got it. I see.
Yes.
I need to pause. Yes. I need to abruptly stop because we didn't either hear or we couldn't hear the whisper, or we didn't feel or we couldn't feel the nudge. And so sometimes there has to be something big. So let listeners know how they can connect with you online.
Online, I'm at www.yolandagray.com. On Facebook, Yolanda Gray, and I am at email Yolanda at, I said that, Yolanda at yolandagray.com. That's my email. And then Yolanda Gray on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn as well, Yolanda Gray. And I'd love to offer anybody who has been thinking about this, being on Groundhog Day, one day is looking like the next. Now we're going into the holidays and it's getting crazy. I don't offer just a discovery session, although that's what it's saying on my website. I've actually been offering a very quick strategizing session, 45-minute, however long we go. I try to help you to at least to help you to get past the barrier to see it. I mean, it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of training. It's a process, for us to walk uprightly, to walk with the Lord, but to help you to see what you're doing, where you are, where you want to be, and what's stopping you from getting there. That's what we call the gap in coaching. It's that middle place where you know where you want to be, but you're stuck right here and you can't see how to get there. And I love to talk to women about that. So,
wow.
And you can
so they just jump over
or,
to your website, email, or jump over to the website?
Yeah. Either way. Yolanda,
that is a gracious offer. Listeners, let me tell you, that is so gracious.
I love doing that.
And do you do this in person? Can you do this by Skype? Do they have to be in the same city you're in?
We can do this in person if you're local. We can do this by Zoom. I do a lot of client coaching that way. Or we can do it, what would you say, in person or on telephone, by the telephone. Either however you want to do it. If you're in Arizona, obviously, we can do Zoom, or I can, get you on the phone.
All right, there you have it, listeners. So we shout you out. We know there are listeners listening all over, and we're in Richmond, Virginia. But listen, this service is available to you. Then you don't have to be.
Right.
You can be as long as you can get to Zoom, that would be international, really, or telephone or in person in Richmond. You can have this discovery session, have this time, and really get some help. And it's available to you, so utilize resources that are available to you to help you get moving. Okay, so then our last question for you. The goal of my show is to motivate, excite, and influence, and we want to know what continues to motivate Yolanda Gray.
Wow. This sort of brings me to tears, but God gave me a vision a very long time ago. At first, I thought I wanted to be Joyce Myers. I love Joyce Myers. I wanted this, this national, international ministry. But what motivates me is that there are women out there who are hurting. There are women out there who are in addiction. I understand addiction. I came out of it. There are women who are being abused, came out of that. And God called me to help heal the brokenhearted. And that's what motivates me every single day. And when I work with women and I see them making changes in their life, I know. It's like putting the key in the car and putting it in drive. It gives me confidence. I just keep going.
Keep going. I'm on the right track. It's a breadcrumb, I call it. That's how I feel with my life. It's another breadcrumb that lets me know I'm on the right track. I'm going the right way. Wonderful, beautifully said, and heartfelt. I feel that. Well, thank you so much, and I just have to thank you openly for being an active value-add member of #CoachingWithVet, Facebook group for female entrepreneurs. Yes. So I appreciate your time because I know you have a lot to do, and so I thank you for being a part of the community and all of that. So thank you for stopping by the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Sharvette. It's an honor from the time I very first met you. You just bring a lot of light and life, and that's where I gravitate to. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right, listeners, I'm telling you what, today's show was amazing. Listen, if you know someone and you're listening, like, oh, gosh, I know someone that needs to listen to this, share the link. Sharvette.com is the best place to go. They can go back and listen to all of our shows right there, Sharvette.com. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Sharvette. Hey there to those that are listening in from Twitter. Connect with me on Facebook, facebook.com/Sharvette. You can just click the follow button, and you'll be able to be a part and see all of my public posts and comments and Facebook Live and all that good stuff. That's one of the greatest places to connect with me. And then certainly for both of our guests, support and see how you can be a blessing to their lives, they're a blessing to your lives, and all that good stuff, because we do this all better when we do it all together. So, we're wrapping up, but next week's going to be another phenomenal show. And I'm telling you what, you don't want to miss it right here on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show, broadcasting from the capital city of Richmond, Virginia. I'm going to talk to you all later. Bye.
Live from Richmond, Virginia, you have been listening to the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Connect with her at Sharvette.com. And until next week, stay motivated, excited, and influenced. The Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Signing off.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be hard. Like early 90s heavy metal hard.
I'm yelling and screaming and I'm loud. Roar!
Geico makes it easy. You can review and update your policy or report a claim on Geico.com or the Geico mobile app. Because shouldn't we all have a little less stress in our lives?
I'm not even upset about anything!
Run to Old Navy this Friday to get sweaters for just $10 for adults, $8 for kids and baby. Better hurry, this incredible sweater deal is just one day only, this Friday at Old Navy. Valid 11/11, select styles, and in stores only.